Hello, friend from Arizona.
So, just when you thought my conversation was plain and ordinary, I hit you with a little surprise. Hey, no, there's this other side to me. There's this other playful, seductive, sexual, authoritative side to me. The contrast and the different energies that you see is what really engages. What up, Casanova? Today, we're going to be doing a real-life footage breakdown, also known as an infield breakdown, to use some old pickup jargon. Real-world application is where it's at, and I find that this is one of the most effective and inspiring ways to see concepts and principles in action, aside from witnessing them in person, of course. So today, I'll be breaking down some clips from an interaction that was filmed in Chicago, 2021, early in the night at a bar in the popular River North district. The clips in question capture the early stages of the interaction, with the two girls by the bar just after I had approached them. Now, if you guys want full, uncut, real-life footage breakdowns as well as access to all my other coaching resource material, you can learn more about it in the description below. All right, strap in and enjoy. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that motherfucking notification bell so that you know when I put out new videos. Right now, my plan is to release a video every Thursday, but that can change and more days might be added. Anyway, stay in the loop. Now let's get into it.
David from Toronto.
It's me.
Just like, let's stream? From Arizona. I'm gonna go on this side. Is this your crew here?
That's her.
This hero? The other people are just like randoms? All right, I thought you were like rolling with your squad here. So why, you just pulled up from Arizona? When, today? Actually?
I landed at 4 p.m.
How long are you guys here?
I think.
A week, okay. Just hanging out?
All right, so here I introduce myself and I use my alias David, which I have sometimes used in social situations, mostly because of my pronounced and controversial online presence. Long story short, I'll be making a separate video to talk more about that, but I introduce myself and notice how I move over to the other side of her, okay, to be more comfortable, and I sit down on that stool because that's just more conducive for the interaction. I prefer talking to someone, you know, when I'm comfortable. As I lean on the bar, I'm sitting, I can face them to my left, and I can also kind of have a view of the rest of the venue as opposed to just staring at the bar. Okay, that makes me feel claustrophobic. Comfort is very important for me when I'm socializing, and I mean, it should be important for you as well, for anybody, okay? Always make sure that you are comfortable when you're socializing and don't compromise. There's always a way to maneuver. Now, I still wasn't sure who that other girl was to my left when I initially initiated the interaction, and you know, I didn't know who she was and how she may impact my interaction. But my plan is, you know, I'm just going to start off talking to the tall girl. I went over to sit down with her. It allows me to kind of isolate other variables from affecting my interaction, so I can build a little bit more of a foundation with her, okay? Talking to someone one-on-one will allow for fewer disruptions and influences. I also always say that you should avoid being an entertainer with an audience, and standing in the middle of a crowd or a group of girls can really promote that kind of dynamic. I'm also kind of ADD, so I prefer to have less stimulus coming in at me at all times from different directions, so this way I can just go off to the side and just talk to her. That doesn't, however, mean that staying in between the two girls is, one, wrong, okay? It may even help you in some kind of way in certain situations. And two, it doesn't mean that you should avoid talking to her friends, okay? I am not saying that. In fact, I always say that talking to the girl's friends is very important to the extent that you need to and to the extent that you want to. And back to the point I made a little bit earlier, and this is another important point worth mentioning, and a theme again that we will be coming across over the course of my videos, is that, you know, in social male-female dynamics, there are many correct ways of doing things. And as you become better acquainted with the rules, the guiding principles, and as you become more confident and experienced and, you know, attuned, you'll find that how you navigate certain micro instances won't really matter. Okay, in the grander scheme of things, a lot more emphasis will be placed on what you feel like doing, especially considering the fact that you will always be able to calibrate and adjust depending on what happens, depending on the feedback you get. You'll be a lot better at gauging things, at rectifying mistakes, and generally just kind of going with the flow. Lastly, notice how I get some immediate logistical information. Okay, who that girl is. Who else is she there with? Okay, who is she not here with? Right, because there might be people around her and you might jump to the conclusion that those are her friends. Where they're from, what they're doing, what they're up to. So the more context you can get about a girl's social situation, the better, right? The more information you have to work with.
I like Chicago. It's got a very similar vibe to Toronto, actually. I mean, we're staying a little bit out of the way in Logan Square, but for a few months.
Yes.
But it's cool. Yeah.
For what? For what?
Partially for work, partially personal. Like, I have a bunch of American clients that I couldn't see in Canada because they couldn't come in the border. Hello, friend from Arizona. Hi, David. Nice to meet you. So you guys, she was telling me you guys are here for a week.
He lives here.
Oh, you live here? Oh. Is she being a good host? Yo, what's going on? Like, I'm from Toronto, but like, why is Thursday so shitty? Is it normally better?
All right, so notice how the girl I'm talking to, the taller girl, gets kind of distracted. And what you need to understand is that you should expect the possibility that girls could get distracted at night, even if they're interested in you. And I can quickly tell that her attention span is low. So sometimes girls have low attention spans. I don't have a very high attention span, okay? And sometimes that's exaggerated because something's on her mind, she's dealing with stuff, she's navigating something, whatever. The point is you should expect that possibility. That's just a general note. And this will happen, and sometimes you can kind of re-engage them, reel them in to the extent that you think is necessary, or to the extent that you think, you know, you want to do this. But the point is it happens.
Hey, what up? It's me again. Just having a cocktail here, but I wanted to quickly interrupt to, one, make sure you're paying attention, and two, to let you know that everything you're learning here is directly and indirectly related to building your dream dating life, and just overall a life that is healthy, win-win, and on your terms. Now, when you're done the video, I recommend you take a few minutes to go to the link below where you can watch a very entertaining and informative video on what steps you need to take to begin your very own transformation. If you're up for it, that is. I guess you first need to ask yourself, and pardon my French here, but do you want to fuck lots of hot poon, or do you want to fuck lots of hunt? As well as find love, discover the meaning of life, and become a self-developed, self-respecting man. Okay, end of pep talk. Back to the video. Go check out the link below when you're done, or I will personally call your mother and have her force you.
Now, this is a good opportunity for me to acknowledge her friend, and I do that, right? And I'm like, hello, friend from Arizona. And I say this in a very exaggerated, playfully simplified tone, okay? Now, something you'll hear me talk about a lot is showcasing your emotional range by using various theatrical and comedic elements, but also by tapping in and showing different facets of yourself in your interactions and in your relationships. That can be a good way of attracting, engaging, and building trust, okay? And last but not least, it's a good way to keep yourself amused if this is something that pushes your buttons, because life is just more fun that way. Am I right? Now, this tone that I'm using here, okay, this playfully simplified tone, this also contributes to building sexual tension in the interaction. But that's not worth unpacking right now. Then I ask, is she being a good host? Because initially I'm under the impression that that she is visiting the other friend. The tall girl is visiting the short girl, which actually turns out to be true. Initially I was kind of confused. But anyway, so I'm like, is she being a good host? And I say this as I make eye contact with the shorter friend, almost in a mildly provocative and challenging manner, okay, with a small smirk. She being a good host? Now, this playfully paints me as a sort of authority figure, okay, that's keeping this girl in check, which can be very hot when done appropriately and in the right contexts. Too much of this, or in the wrong context, with the wrong girl, who's in the wrong headspace, you know, without the right frame and tone set to the interaction, can also be offensive, annoying, etc. More on that later. You know, calibration is the name of the game. As you get more experience, you'll learn how to better gauge things. But I also always say, test things. Test things. Don't be afraid to fuck up, get feedback. That's one of the best ways to learn. So, just when you thought my conversation was plain and ordinary, I hit you with a little surprise. I show you, and you know, I'm showing the girls and I'm showing you that, hey, no, there's this other side to me. There's this other playful, seductive, sexual, authoritative side to me. I'm using this very principle with you guys right now, okay, because I know that it's engaging. And the contrast and the different energies that you see is what really engages. Now, then I ask her, you know, why are Thursdays so shitty? Like this, you know, we were out on a Thursday in Chicago, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of dead. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are Thursdays so shitty? Because in Toronto, I'm used to Thursdays and in some of the busier areas being pretty decent. And this is an example that, you know, of the fact that you can talk about basic mundane shit. Okay, it's all about your intent and your energy. Two, it's also, you know, a reminder that you should only strive to talk about things that you genuinely want to talk about. This is going to help the conversation flow. Anything forced is going to make you suffer. It's not going to be congruent, and it's just not going to be conducive to the evolution of the interaction. Okay, so things you genuinely want to talk about. I'm curious about Thursdays. I ask about Thursdays. When I do these breakdowns, I'm going to sometimes point out things that you can sometimes do, right? That there are different. Like I said, that there are sometimes no wrong, there are no right, okay? There are no right courses of action. Sometimes there are wrong courses of action, generally speaking. But otherwise, you can kind of take different kind of approaches to things, and it can all be correct in the grander scheme of things.
Also, wrong process-wise does not mean wrong in the moment. What you did in the moment was always correct, because there could not have been a different course. Let that sink in. The goal is to align yourself with how you feel at any given moment, act on it, and analyze or improve at a different time. And how you feel, to derive that, you need to control for fear. That's how you get the real answer.
So even here, you know, I could say something edgier. I could do something edgier, something a little bit more risque, a little bit more higher pressure or higher temperature, as I like to call it in the context of building sexual tension. And while talking to the friend and the girl in question, I can kind of comment on the friend's shoulders, okay, and how they're sexy, and touch them and even bite them. Okay, I'm known to do those kind of things. When I feel like a certain level of comfort in interaction. Now, this can be higher risk, okay? So it can go either way. Here I felt a little premature. Whether that's objectively correct or not, we don't know. Maybe I could have gotten away with it. Sometimes I feel like playing it a little safer. Sometimes I feel like playing it a little more risque. Again, that's something you can test. And once you're more advanced, you can just kind of do things and see what happens. And remember, the name of the game is not to be attached to the outcome, meaning whatever happens, happens. You're kind of adopting the curious scientist mindset, as I like to call it. You know, let's see what happens. It would be cool if I do this. Let's see. Let's test it. Okay? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. But we're not attached to the consequences of things. We're just exploring.
All right, man. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this content and that it really helps you make some moves in the right direction. Sincerely, because everything I teach, I have lived and breathed and contemplated ad nauseum. Unlike a bunch of these cookie cutter life coach clowns out there that regurgitate some shit they read in a book and call themselves experts. With that in mind, if you want to go deeper, if you want to really know what it takes to become the kind of guy that can confidently attract and manage relationships with quality women on your terms and in a way that is healthy and honest, no scummy or gimmicky shit here. And if you generally want to live a life of truth, freedom, love, courage, and adventure, then as Tom Cruise famously said in Jerry Maguire, help me help you, and go click the link below. There's a very entertaining and informative video that will shed some light on how you can get started. Do it, or you will forever perish into the dark abyss. But seriously, go check it out. Let's kickstart this journey of personal development together and help you reinvent yourself into a sex god.